You're a Christian.
You say that. I haven't claimed that.
Oh, what is this? Is this Christians versus atheists?
Don't be a smartass.
Either you're a Christian or you're not. Which one is it?
You're really quite something, you are.
Aren't I? But you're really quite nothing. Right? You're not a Christian.
Okay, I'm done with him. Hello there. I'm Dr. Jordan Peterson. I'm a clinical psychologist, a professor emeritus at the University of Toronto, an author, a podcaster, public speaker, and today I'm surrounded by 25 atheists.
As I sit here in my professional studio with my background and my lights are on, and I'm looking here at myself, as I often do because I'm a narcissist, but here I'm looking at my face in the recording software, and I have no idea what to say. Like, I don't know what to say or how even to introduce what happened here. You know, on the one hand, we have the Canadian parapsychologist, Dr. Jordan B. Peterson. On the other hand, we have 25 college kids, 25 atheists, self-proclaimed atheists. And what happened here is just an immersion into the incoherent mind of Jordan Peterson. I've never heard anything more incoherent, especially presented with a very serious and a very dire expression. Now, my dude, I know I failed. I have to say I failed. You can ask me, how many times have you watched Pinocchio? And I'm going to say I haven't watched it, ever. Maybe as a kid. You could say, well, what about Lion King? You know, what about Dostoevsky? Well, I've read some Dostoevsky in my life. I'm afraid Dostoevsky is a little preachy at times. Like, Dostoevsky, the way I would think about Dostoevsky is like lotus, a Russian lotus. You know, the whole idea of the lotus is that it emerges from the mud. It emerges from dirt, from the mud, and yet it's unblemished. And that's the idea of the lotus in Eastern culture, that it emerges from the mud, but it emerges perfect and unblemished. And that's kind of how I view a lot of Dostoevsky literature, is that it, you know, the Russian lotus, you know, the different characters who kind of redeem themselves in spite of the dirt, in spite of the mud, and in a sense they kind of redeem the world through their inner struggle and so on. Or, yeah, so basically that's how I think about Dostoevsky. But, you know, I failed when it comes to a lot of these archetypal diet that Jordan Peterson has. You know, I haven't watched Pinocchio. I don't read the Bible. I'm a Buddhist, and yet, you know, like, and yet I don't really understand what he's saying at the core, because in order to understand what he's saying, he has to answer a question as to why he will not give yes or no answers to questions about belief in metaphysical or miraculous things. He just doesn't, he never explains why he doesn't answer these questions for me. And as a result of it, the kind of the Union Bible, the Union and Old Testament and all this shit, I don't know, it's pretty incoherent to me. Jordan Peterson is, and you know, I don't know what he's saying, frankly. Like, I'll be honest, sometimes I don't understand what the hell he's saying. But enough of me, my friends. Let's sleep into it.
How you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I guess since you said morality and purpose cannot be found in science, it would just depend on like what you're referencing. If you're saying a description of your psychological preferences would be considered within science, sure. But I don't think that you have to say that it comes from science in order to be like an atheist. As an agnostic atheist, I don't know if God exists and I don't believe that a God exists. And the only ones that I would really reject would be like the all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good, perfect notion of God that plenty of Christians like prescribe themselves. So I guess
How is that relevant to this claim?
You're basing a position of morality and purpose in some like notion of God that isn't the same type of notion of God that typical Christians would prescribe. Your notion of God is
what typical Christians?
Yeah, typically when I talk to Christians, they say that they believe in an all-knowing.
How about Cardinal Newman, who defined God as conscience? He's a major influence on all of Catholic social theory. How about that Christian?
Sure. So do you believe in the all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good notion of God?
What do you mean by believe?
Whoop, my friends, well, here we go. It's so downhill from here. It's so downhill. Started out okay, but now we're in for it.
Do you think it to be true?
That's the circular definition. What do you mean
How
when
is
you
that
say you
circular?
believe?
How is that circular?
Because you added no content to the answer by substituting the word true and believe.
I said you think it to be true.
All right. So if
What's
you
a
believe
belief?
something, you stake your life on it.
What do you mean by that?
You live for it and you die for it. That's what I mean by that. It isn't something that you say. It isn't something that's associated with logical consistency. It's not declarative. It's not propositional. It's not a figment of your imagination. It's the presupposition of your attention and your action.
Welcome to the Peterson Lobster Vortex, to this alternative reality where things that are based in logic and things that you actually explicitly believe have nothing to do with what you actually believe. What Peterson is saying makes no sense. Like if you ask Peterson, has Jesus performed miracle? Has he rose from the dead? He's not going to give you a yes or no answer, but he believes in it because I guess he's going to die. Like he's going to die for his incoherent beliefs that he can't even articulate to others. And because he's ready to die for it, presumably for some truth that he will not reveal to us, he's not going to tell us the ultimate truth of these things. But he's gonna die for that thing. Anyway, it's even as I'm trying to deconstruct what he's saying, I have trouble. It's like I'm a broken robot. I feel like a robot that has ingested some bad data, like some virus has invaded my system. Listening to Jordan Peterson's arguments. I mean, they make no sense, my friends. They make no sense to me.
And you're either fragmented, in which case you worship multiple gods, or there's some unity at the bottom of it that makes you an unstoppable force.
Okay, so you're saying that you don't believe something if you wouldn't die for it?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Now, my friends, I do believe in dinosaurs, but I'm not dying for that shit. No, I'm not. If I lived in some dystopian communist regime that proclaimed dinosaurs to be false idols of late-stage capitalism, I would say, fuck you, pterodactyl, you bougie motherfucker. That's kind of, so I beg to differ with Professor Peterson as to whether, the only things we believe are those we're going to die for. I don't buy it. And I gave an example with the dinosaurs.
So then,
How would you define belief? Something you say?
Can I explain? Like, I could believe it is the case that this pen exists, but if someone threatened my life, right, I would lie in order to be able to save my life, right? Like, I think you would do that too. You wouldn't lie to save your
Don't
life?
be so sure.
You wouldn't lie to save your life?
How much do you know about me? I didn't lie to save my career. I didn't lie to save my clinical practice.
Would you lie to save your children, your mom, your dad?
I don't think lying would save them.
No, can there ever be a circumstance logically that lying could save someone's
Yeah,
life?
and if you're steeped in sin, you're likely to live in circumstances like that.
I'll give you an example. If you're in Nazi Germany, and it is the case that there's Jewish people in your attic and you're trying
I
to
know
protect
the
them,
example.
would you lie to the Nazis? If
I
they're
would have done
asking?
everything I bloody well could, so I wouldn't be in that
would
situation
you
to begin
lie?
with. It's a hypothetical, and it's
You
not
can't answer
answerable.
hypotheticals?
If you're hiding out in Jordan Peterson's basement, there are a couple of rules. Number one, all beef diet. Beef, mama was cooking, it's always beef, So an all beef diet is one thing. And the other thing is you have to keep that room tidy. You have to, you don't want to unleash the negative archetypes by not tidying up the room. It's not about Professor Peterson wanting a tidy basement. It's something much deeper, and you really have to appreciate it if you're hiding out in the Peterson household. And then, of course, when the SS officer comes to the door, and says, "Do you have any Jews here?" Peterson would say, "What do you mean by Jews? Are you talking about a religious category, an ethnic category?"
No, I can't answer a hypothetical like
What?
that because
Did
it's
you eat
far.
today?
Look,
Did you eat
Don't
today?
play games.
I'm not playing a game. I'm just asking
Yes,
if you
you
ate
are.
it today.
If you present me with an intractable moral choice that's stripped of context and you back me into a corner, you're playing game. I just told you
Hypothetical?
I would do everything that I could to make sure that I'm never in that situation. By the time you've got there, you've made so many mistakes that there's nothing you can do that isn't a sin.
Being born in Nazi Germany and trying to protect people that you care about, like there could be a Jewish friend that you have and you want to protect them.
I think you should
have
just
them in
give
your
up on
attic.
that line of questioning.
Give up on just like trying to clarify your position?
Give up. Just give up on that and give up on fucking everything. Give up on this conversation, on this line of, just give up on everything, dude. It's not worth it anymore. Give up. Just give up completely. Surrender yourself purely to it. To giving up.
Because you
I
don't
did
like, are you like
clarify.
uncomfortable with me asking this question? It's just a basic hypothetical. Like I could ask you.
It's just a
did you-
basic
yeah, yeah.
hypothetical
Like,
where you
like if
put Jews' lives at stake in Nazi Germany. That's just a basic hypothetical.
Obviously, you would lie in that scenario to save their life, but you're like not trying to answer this question for some reason.
I just told you why.
Are you anti-fascist? Like, so you're
Why are
anti-fascist?
you asking that?
I was just asking, just clarifying. But like, okay, again, you're not answering this hypothetical because you know it shows that you clearly would lie to save
I'm
someone's life.
answering it in
Obviously,
a
that's
manner
not what
you
truth
don't
is.
find acceptable.
Obviously, because I care about truth.
I wouldn't be in that scenario.
Obviously, right? Logically, because that's
No.
already happened. Like that's in the past. You don't have a time travel device. We're bringing this logical hypothetical up to show you that in some circumstances that do happen within the real world, you would lie to save people's lives. So your definition of truth isn't actually how we're typically using it. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to muddy the waters when I ask you, like, do you believe this? Do you think this to be true? So you don't actually have to answer the questions. And plenty of Christians don't like that because they clearly see that you don't really like want to be associated with
I can
Christianity. with that
imagine
respect.
that I was in a situation where the best I could do as a consequence of my previous mistakes was to tell the least amount of lie I could manage. But that would likely indicate that I had made all sorts of catastrophic errors on my way there.
Hey, Dr. Peterson.
How you doing?
Danny, nice to meet you.
What's your name?
Danny.
Danny.
You say atheists worship things or people or places, whatever. Can you be very clear about your definition of worship again?
Attend to, prioritize, and sacrifice for.
Okay, that's it. That's your understanding of worship.
Well, I could flesh it out, but that'll do for the time we have.
Okay, do Catholics attend to Mary?
Well, yes,
Okay, so do they fit that description of worship?
yes.
So you would say Catholics and other people that revere Mary, like the Eastern Orthodox tradition, worship Mary.
Well, they might not put her in the highest
But you would
place.
put it that way.
No.
You just said it. Now you're taking it back.
There's
now?
still a hierarchy.
Okay, there's a hierarchy, but within the
There's something at the top.
All right, you can worship things
Mary is
below.
quite a ways up the hierarchy, but not at the top.
Let's go over your definition of worship again. What's your definition of worship?
Attend to,
Attend to. Do
prioritize, and
Catholics
sacrifice for.
do Catholics attend to? Do they prioritize Mary over all other human beings?
No, I didn't say overall, did I? I didn't
Well,
add that to my
you
definition.
understand-
I said there was a hierarchy as well.
You attend to.
So you can attend to something trivially, or you can attend to it deeply.
And now
there's
you're
a-
adding stuff to the definition. But your original
I
definition.
added the hierarchy part at the beginning.
Are you
just
familiar?
didn't understand it.
Are you familiar with the Immaculate Conception?
Why is that relevant?
Because you go to a Catholic church, don't you? Or you've attended recently. You're interested in Catholicism, aren't you?
You go to church, don't you, old man? I hear you run with the papists.
Sure,
All right. Are you familiar with their doctrines?
somewhat.
Okay, you're
Their
familiar.
doctrines are very
how do they
deep.
regard Mary?
Why are you asking me that?
Because you're a Christian.
You say that. I haven't claimed that.
Now let's be clear, college kid, my dude. He's gonna die for it, but he's not gonna claim it. He's definitely dying for it. But, you know, if you ask him if he's a Christian, it's a little bit iffy.
Oh, what is this? Is this Christians versus atheists?
I don't know.
You don't know where you are right now.
Don't be a smartass.
Well,
and I mean
either
it,
you're a
'cause
Christian
I won't
or you're
talk to
not.
you if you're a smartass.
Oh, either you're a Christian or you're not. Which one is it?
I could be either of them, but I don't have to tell you.
You don't have to tell me. I was under the impression
private.
I was invited to talk to a Christian. Am I not talking to a Christian?
No, you were invited to.
I think everyone should look at the title of the YouTube channel. You're probably in the wrong YouTube video,
You're really quite something, you are.
aren't I? But you're really quite nothing, right? You're not a Christian.
Okay, I'm done with him. My final claim is that atheists accept Christian morality, but deny the religion's foundational stories. Hi there.
It's very nice to meet you.
What's
I'm
your
Ian.
name?
I'm Ian.
Hi, Ian.
Yes. So God says that you can own people as property. He says that you can beat them with a rod too. He commands genocide in Deuteronomy, in Numbers, and in Samuel. I mean, they have a goddamn baby barbecue in Numbers. Like, is all of this in line with Christian ethics?
No.
So then God doesn't fit within Christian ethics.
Well, the biblical library is a continuing story, and everything written in it has to be contextualized by the entire text. There's 65,000 hyperlinks in the biblical text. And you can take pieces of it out of context and criticize them, and that's what you're doing. But that's a mistake, I think. It's an analytic mistake because you're putting the cart before the horse.
How much power does Greek myth have over your life? How have Greek myths changed your life? Are you willing to die for Greek myths, for believing in some part of Greek mythology, right? So Greek mythology has become completely irrelevant to us as a religion. I'm sure you can find here and there maybe some modern pagans or whatever, but by and large it's dead. We only look to it for metaphorical stories, for symbolism. We no longer take it seriously as a religion. And Jordan Peterson's approach to the Bible is basically mythical. He looks at it as these defining myths and so on. So in many ways, like, Jordan Peterson is post-Christian. He's making Christianity and the biblical stories accessible to people by, extracting meaning out of them. But he doesn't claim to literally believe in them. But on the other hand, he doesn't want to explicitly say that he doesn't believe in the metaphysical and magical claims of the Bible, because then it would make his movement and his whole approach post-Christian. So it is a de facto post-Christian approach to the Bible that Peterson is engaged in. It's like, let's not get caught up in the validity or in validity of miracles, or if they exist or not. Let's just focus on the meaning of the stories, And however, he cannot part with the religious aspect of it, with the mystical aspect of it, because that would make his movement, his whole approach, explicitly post-Christian. So it's a de facto post-Christian approach, but he doesn't, in a sense of not focusing on the miracles, not focusing on blind faith, etc. If you explicitly say that those things aren't real, then you're completely dealing with Christianity as you would to Greek mythology. So that's my basic belief as to why Jordan Peterson doesn't answer these questions, because he wants to have a conversation that's free of miracles, that's free of blind faith, but he doesn't want a complete divorce, because that would make his approach completely post-Christian. Hopefully what I said here made sense for you, but that's kind of the way I look at it. That's the only kind of a coherence I can extract from his weird, I'm not going to tell you if I'm a Christian or not, And the other thing is, I'm a Buddhist. I do literally believe in Buddhist teachings like reincarnation. Now I'm completely open to that not being the case. Personally, I don't want to be reincarnated again. I would be completely fine with just dying. But I happen to believe in Buddhism, and I know that the impact the teachings would have on me, whether or not the metaphysical claims are asserted or not, has a big difference. You can take the story of reincarnation and say how throughout life we reincarnate into different realms of experience and something like that. secularize the Buddhist teachings. But the power of religion historically has come from these claims, not from Jungian archetypes and the analysis of metaphorical analysis and literary analysis of sacred texts. So anyway, my friends, thank you for watching, and hope everything goes well for you.